It twarn't too long ago when I got myself into a fight with old Jake McGinty. Now, Jake was a big man, about as big as a buffalo and a half, and he used to love to play tricks and just bully people around. Well, I was getting a mite tired of Big Jake, so one day when it was real hot out and we were working hard, and I was there drinking some right cool water, well, Big Jake, he comes over and he says, "Give me that there canteen. I'm a parched more than the So-Hairy Desert." Well, I was feeling a mite uppity, so I says to Jake, "Tell you what, I'll give you all the water you want to drink if you can just answer me 3 questions by saying the words, the dirt." Now, wait a minute here. You're saying that you'll give me all the water I ever want to drink if I can just answer 3 of your questions by saying the words, the dirt? That's right, Jake. Well, come on, what are you waiting for? Ask me your questions. All right, Jake, all right, let's see. Let's say you're walking down a road, and you come to a fork in the road. Which of those 2 paths are you going to take, Jake? The one paved with gold, or the one made of just plain old dirt? The dirt. Good, you got one. Well, let's say you're going to build a house. What are you going to use to build that house? Wood and brick and such, or just plain old dirt? The dirt. Hey, that's good, that's 2. Well, let's say you win this bet of mine. Which would you rather have? This canteen of cool, refreshing water, or dirt thrown in your face? The dirt. So I picked up a clump of dirt, and I threw it right in his smiling face. Well, that got Jake pretty steamed at me. He ran home, he got his rifle, and he came back a-shooting. Little did he know I ran home, got my rifle, and I started shooting back. Now, the trouble was we were hiding behind trees, so sure we'd be shooting, but the trees were getting the worst of it. And then I gets this idea, see? I take my rifle and I bend the barrel of it a bit. Then I turn around and pull the trigger. Don't you know it, but that bullet comes out of that bent rifle barrel, curves around the trees, and knocks the hat right off of Jake's head. Well, Jake threw down his rifle, he grabbed his 6-shooters, and he started to sneak up on me. Now, I threw down my rifle, I grabbed my shooting irons, and I started to sneak up on him. We had snuck up so close together that when we jumped out and started shooting, we were nose to nose and our guns were behind the other one's back. So we threw down our guns, decided to go at it hand to hand, and we started to circle each other like a couple of animals. Jake was like a big old bear. He was all hairy with his arms stiff at his side, and boy, did he smell bad. Me, I was more like a coyote there, sleek and slobbering, my tongue hanging out at the side. We circled each other for about a day or 2, and then we finally went at it. Jake came clawing at me, I went swinging at him. Jake was picking up boulders to bash me with, and I was breaking full-grown trees over his head. We were just trying to beat each other silly. At one point, I was able to pull the ground out from underneath Jake's feet, and I buried him with it for a good 10 minutes. We got a little carried away, though. You see, we had started this fight in a purty place in Montana with trees and forest and flowers and streams and such. But when we finished, you had to call that place the Badlands. At one point, I got so mad at Jake that I picked up Oklahoma by the panhandle, and I really let him have it. He went soaring off into the sky, coming down, smashing into the west coast, breaking off a smidge or 2 of California, and skittling right into the middle of the Pacific Ocean, forming a bunch of islands out there. Now, the funny thing is I got to name them islands. You see, just as Jake and all those other people were getting up and saying, "Well, where are we?" I was on the coast of California calling out, "Hawaii!" Name kind of stuck. Well, Jake, he tore the top off of one of those mountains out there in Hawaii, reached inside, pulled out a chunk of lava, and he hurled it at me with all his might. His first shot went pretty wide, landed in Arizona, making a big old crater. His second shot, well, that went even further, landed in Roswell, New Mexico. Lots of people saw it, thought it was a UFO or something like that. Well, I was just laughing at Jake's bad aim, and he got tired of throwing the lava, so instead he stuffed his hands deep inside the volcano, pulled them out, and they became as hard as stone. Then he ran as fast as he could across the Pacific Ocean on account that he couldn't swim. So he ran as fast as he could, came right up behind me, and took a big old swing. Now, fortunately, I saw him at the last second. I was able to duck out of the way. Jake ended up smashing the ground, causing a big old crack. People call that crack the San Andreas Fault, but I know it was really Jake McGinty's fault. He even caused the first earthquake in California, and all that shaking up of the ground, well, that stirred up the lava he left uncovered in Hawaii. A big old chunk of that flew up in the air, came right down, landing on top of Jake. Well, me being a quick thinker and all, I grabbed Jake by the legs and I started to twirl him around like the propeller of an airplane. and when I got a respectable velocity, I let 'em go and watched 'em soar off into the sky. Never did see Jake again, but I did hear tell that just before that lava hardened, he smashed into the side of a mountain in New Hampshire, and he can still be seen today as a tourist attraction. He's known as the Old Man in the Mountain. And that's the time I got into a fight with old Jake McGinty.